Welcome, the Northman Coaching Podcast with Gary and AJ. Thanks for tuning in. Building a better you, shoulder to shoulder, brick by brick. Let's go.
Good evening and welcome to the Northman Coaching Podcast. I'm Gary, your host, and this is my good friend and co-host, AJ. Tonight we're going to be talking about the value of accountability, which came from the Oak Values deck that I created a few years ago. And accountability's definition is the willingness or obligation to explain one's actions or to admit being the cause of a problem. What do you got on that one, brother?
You know, accountability is huge.
Okay.
Accountability is huge because so many people don't realize the things that they are actually accountable for. They go through life kind of day to day, moseying about the things that they do, going to work, coming home, seeing the kids, seeing the wife, eating dinner, just checking all the boxes. And a lot of us don't realize that, especially after a stressful day at work, if you come home and you react to something or there's things going on in the house, your wife is upset, your kids are upset, and you decide to jump on board with it, it just creates chaos. And the slightest thing, when we react instead of respond, we may see it as a small action. And we may not realize the magnitude of what that actually does in a relationship or a family, and not taking accountability for that and understanding what our actions are actually creating, it causes serious damage. It causes serious damage with our children and with our love.
Absolutely. So I think that a lot of men think of accountability as a punishment, when really it's nothing more than ownership. And because growing up, we're told that, we need to, if something went wrong, we need to hold ourselves accountable. And it was a punishment because we didn't want to get in trouble for what went wrong. And we were probably accountable for what went wrong. But now as an adult, it's important to, before the trouble even brews, like you see a problem, if you had a hand in it, then you need to, hold yourself accountable. Everything that goes wrong, whether it's at work or in your marriage, it could be your ex-wife's fault or boss's fault. You do have a hand in that. And a real man will step up and take that accountability.
Yeah, I agree. It becomes, haven't you read How to Treat Your Husband When He Comes Home? It was made in 1946.
Nope, never read it.
Love to read it though. So anyways, accountability is just huge. And it doesn't really matter which end of the relationship it's on, whether, it is important solely as men that we find the areas that we are accountable and make sure we own up to them. Make sure that we realize what we do and what we say. Because sometimes the smallest things, they can really hurt the most and they can damage your relationship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So the last few weeks we talked about, the first week we talked about, was it acceptance and then abundance, or vice versa? I can't remember. But if you can put all this together, acceptance lets you face reality. Accountability lets you take action for that reality. And abundance is what happens or what you create when you put all three of those together. So I'm going to attempt to tie in as many values as I can each podcast, because they really all do work off of each other. It's like we had talked about earlier today about many parts to one moving thing, machine, whatever you want to call it.
Well-oiled machine.
Well-oiled machine, yeah, with a bunch of moving parts. But each of those parts together individually has a job that together creates an amazing, whatever you want to call it, machine, thing, human,
Like
I don't know.
body, right? Like
What was
the
that?
human body. It's like the human body.
Sure, yeah.
Every part of the human body has its own function, and it all functions. Our brain causes everything to function. Everything has its role.
Mhm.
That just goes right to that well-oiled machine, and that's what we were talking about earlier. There's not a lot to say about acceptance, I guess, other than the fact that so many men don't understand their
Acceptance or
role.
accountability?
Accountability. Excuse me. Sorry.
You're good.
Thanks. Accountability. So many men don't realize, their accountability in life. They don't realize a lot of the things that they do and the simple statements, simple gestures They don't realize that it causes harm. Sometimes just facial expressions in a conversation, especially with a loved one of your children, they matter, and your children carry those things. And I think men don't realize it. And most of all, these things stack. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned, right? Is unfortunately something that you did 10 years ago in a relationship. If you're still doing the same thing, those actions just continue to stack and stack and stack. And if you're not taking accountability for them and you're not working to change those things, except who you're being, you're not going to have an abundant life.
Talking about abundance or accountability again?
No, I just said all three of them.
Okay. Yes, I got you. You're confusing me a little bit. Well, I mean, if you want to go back to the acceptance part of things, if you can't accept the life that you have or what you're doing in this life, then you could never hold yourself accountable. You're living in a dream world, So I've worked with plenty of guys who, they got divorced or they managed to save their marriage, a couple of them. But in the beginning, it was always her fault or it was the kid's fault. Or my favorite was I had one, it was the in-laws' fault. It was never his fault though. And I felt bad for the man. I did. He must have to have in-laws that could destroy his life. And I know that in-laws can be a pain in the neck. But like I said earlier, it comes down to everybody has some role in the accountability department.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, our relationship is 50-50. And you have to meet each other together.
Yes.
And if something goes wrong, you have to find your accountability in it.
Absolutely.
And, I still remember back in the beginning when I first started doing men's work. I used to think that too. It's just her. Everything was her. It didn't take me long to, I'll say, at least in that aspect, to catch on to the fact that no, it's not. It was a relationship. It was 50, and there is accountability on both sides. But the only accountability that matters at the end of the day was mine. It didn't matter what her role was.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what wrong she's done. It doesn't matter what game she's played or what things she's done wrong. She's wronged me with or arguments or whatever. It doesn't matter. All that matters is as a man, you find your accountability in life. And that's what I had to find. Where was my accountability? Being able to understand that, realizing that that's the only thing that matters, that changes your outlook on a relationship. It changes your outlook on the way that relationships should be.
Yes, I agree. And Sean says it could be the in-laws. I know, with a smiley face. And yeah, like I said, in-laws can definitely be a pain in the neck, without a doubt. But you have to hold yourself accountable for your part. And once you realize that, the in-laws trigger you like this, or the kids do this, that cause you to act the way you do, and you have to take the accountability. Once you are aware of that and accept that, that's where the abundance part kicks in, because now you can grow. Now you know that this triggers you, so I'm going to figure out why it triggers me, or I'm going to, I don't ever want to say avoid it, but it's good to avoid things like that until you can figure out why they trigger you. But that is definitely some work that you need to do to understand why certain things trigger you.
Well, a good thing, like we talked about this the other night, right? When you have the acceptance aspect of it, then you're able to stop and you're able to learn, right? Take a break, back up from the situation and learn from it. So if the in-laws are the problem, and that is the case, accept it so that you can learn from it and you can grow so that could no longer be the problem in your life. If you learn how to accept that situation and learn from it, then you're going to be able to grow from it. And you've got to find your accountability in that aspect. There is a reason why our in-laws usually feel the way that they do about us. Now, it may be because our wives are talking negatively about us. That may be the truth. There really may not be something that's really bad that's there. But see, when you can accept it and you can stop and you can learn from it and work on finding the accountability on your behalf, if there isn't accountability on your behalf, then maybe it's time for you to sit down and have a conversation with your other half. But you have to go and respond, not react. You need to be calm, and it needs to be a really loving conversation if you want to talk about our parents. But sure, should be in any.
When you blame the in-laws, or you blame, and we should get off the in-law thing for a minute. We're gonna have all kinds of in-laws hating us, but when you blame the kids or whoever, that's making an excuse. You're making excuses, and excuses make weak men. or weak men make excuses. Well, I actually like that back and forth kind of thing. If you're blaming the boss or you're blaming the kids or you need to take that accountability. That's when you're going to start growing. Like I said, weak men make excuses. So I don't make excuses for anything. I'm late for work on a regular. You know my excuses? I left late. I should do better. It's not your fault or the traffic's fault. I could blame all of that stuff, but it's my fault. I should have left earlier.
I mean, I look at my separation like that. All that matters is that I had accountability in that situation. It doesn't matter what her side of it was. I had accountability, and that is what I have to look at, and that is what I remember. So I need to accept that and learn from it and grow from it, so that when I'm in the next situation or next relationship like that, I've learned and I've grown in all of those areas. That's what's important.
Absolutely. And just put up there what Darren just said, what you blame, you empower over yourself. And you do. If I said it's traffic's fault, I'm making traffic. It owns me. If it's the in-law's fault, they now own me. They're living rent free in my head. So you have to take that accountability. And once you do that, not only do you have acceptance and abundance, but you're free. You are free.
That is the best part, right? The best part
Absolutely.
is when you can find.
So we have the men's group in the school community, and there's tons of accountability there. And actually, every Friday we have the accountability meeting where you say where you could have been more accountable and where you were accountable. And by putting it out there, you are making yourself accountable, and you're also praising yourself for being accountable in certain areas. And that's actually pretty awesome. So
That meeting is so important every Friday because it closes out the week, right? You have your reflections, you have your accountability, and you have your gratitude. You're closing out the week on a strong note. So the brotherhood teaches you how to actually live these values and appreciate yourself, be free of other situations, of past relationships, as long as you are willing to show up and do the work. And it's not work in the sense of going to school or anything. It is just looking inward and changing the outward appearance that you're putting off and what you're empowering in the world. You need to be empowering yourself. You need to love yourself. And the brotherhood teaches you to do these things. And it's a beautiful thing. And having your accountability for the week be something simple or something silly, like, I actually should have gone for another walk this week. I missed a walk this week, you know. Something like that is a beautiful week. When you have accountability and you have to be like, oh, well, you know what? I got upset. I yelled at the kids again. Shouldn't have done it. I was in a situation with my wife. We're all been there, and we've all done it. And there's a chance we may all do it again, even guys that have done the work.
absolutely.
But as long as you keep putting the work in, then you're holding yourself accountable all the time. You're always holding yourself accountable. And take the Thursday night group, even though Friday is our reflections, accountability, and gratitude meeting. Thursday night is a deep meeting, and we hold one another accountable. Nobody, listens to a guy's story and listens to him blame the world and says, "Oh yeah, yep, the traffic was the reason why you were late," or "Oh, this isn't working out for you. It's just because, it's just not the right situation." Nobody's got your back like that. We're actually a brotherhood of men that care about one another. So we're there to hold you accountable, and we want to be held accountable just the same.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that men struggle with in the community is confidence. And when you start holding yourself accountable and meeting that accountability, your confidence level grows. Like Jar in the group, he's doing 2 push-ups a day just to get a foundation. And I don't know what he's up to now, but he's doing his push-ups every day. He's held himself accountable. Now he's confident that he can do all of those push-ups. And every guy in the group, they come up with something that they're going to be accountable for. And as they complete the accountability, I don't know what the right word is, but as they get to that point where they have been accountable and they're now a habit, they now have confidence that they can do that.
Yeah, it's a habit of holding yourself accountable all the time, right? It becomes something that's structured into your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like with the push-ups, it started about other men, being there, helping him stay accountable to get into something as small as just doing 2 push-ups. You don't need to try to go do something big. Just do the 2 push-ups and don't do more than that, for the simple fact of, if you just leave it at the 2, after a while, it's going to become routine. And then you'll start holding yourself accountable.
Yes.
You've also now learned how to hold yourself accountable to things, and you continue to work and grow on those things. I won't because it's private, but I can give you a number of things now that he does on a day-to-day basis that he actually holds himself accountable. And it's an amazing thing to see when a guy comes in, especially somebody as young as him, and starts holding themselves accountable every day and doing that work. Once he's our age, he's going to be on top of the world as long as he continues to go in the direction he's going.
Yes, sir.
He will be so much better off than most men. And hopefully, we all know we fall on our faces. Hopefully, he doesn't any harder than any of us have, and hopefully none of us ever do either. But we're men, and unfortunately, that can be reality.
Absolutely.
When you have accountability in life, you're able to sit back and accept what your life is. And when you learn to accept what your life is, you stop and you're able to learn from your life and what's going on around you and your circumstances, your situations. You're able to grow from it. And that creates a wealth of abundance. It creates an amazing life. So, guys, for anybody out there that's watching the podcast, if you like it, please like and subscribe. We would very much appreciate it. If you have comments, you can leave them anytime. We'll always get back. We're always happy to hear whatever it is anybody has to say. And if you are looking for coaching of any kind, or would like to join the brotherhood that we've been talking about, go to northmancoaching.com.
Yes. And if you want another great podcast to listen to, check out Sessions and Lessons or Glowing Off Script. Both great podcasts. Yeah, that's all I got. Anything? No?
That's it.
All right, guys. You have a good night. Check out our daily devotionals Monday through Friday, and we will see you guys next Sunday for our next podcast. And the value next week is going to be affection. Yeah, now we know. Now AJ won't have to ask me. Affection. Anyway, you guys have a great evening, and we'll, like I said, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.
Have a good night.